My 28-year-old daughter called me crying and said, "Dad, either you pay my apartment rent or I'm done with you forever." Then my wife grabbed the phone and said, "She's right. Help her or lose us both." I hung up the phone and did something that shocked everyone. Let me tell you what happened next. But first, thank you for watching Granny Tales. Your comments mean everything to us. Please tell us what state you're watching from. We love giving SHUVTS. Today's special mention goes to Sarah Chun from California. Now let's dive into this crazy story. I never thought my own family would try to control me with fear. My name is Robert Miller, and I'm 56 years old. I spent 40 years working at a factory, saved every penny, and never said a no to my family. I'm the guy who fixes everything, pays for everything, and shows up for everything. I thought that made me a good father and husband, but I was wrong. They didn't see a loving dad. They saw a walking ATM machine. The phone call that changed everything came on a Tuesday morning while I was eating breakfast. It was my daughter, Emma. She's 28, works part-time at a coffee shop, and lives in a fancy apartment she can't afford. We used to be best friends when she was little. She'd sit on my lap, and we'd watch cartoons together. But now she only calls when she needs money. "Dad, I'm in trouble," she said, her voice shaking. "My rent is due tomorrow, and I don't have it. You have to help me, or I'll lose my apartment." I took a deep breath. "Emma, how much do you need?" $800, she said quickly, "and I need it today." That's when something clicked in my brain. This wasn't the first time. Last month, it was her car payment. Before that, her credit card bill. Before that, her phone was getting shut off. I'd pay for all of it without question, because I thought that's what good dads do. But this time felt different. "Emma," I said carefully, "what happened to your job? What happened to your savings?" She got angry immediately. "Are you serious right now? I'm your daughter. I shouldn't have to explain myself to you." The way she said it, like I owed her something just for being born, it hit me like a slap in the face. "I work hard for my money, Emma. I can't keep—" "Stop," she interrupted. "Just stop. Either you help me or you're not my father anymore. I'm serious, Dad. I will never speak to you again." My heart started beating fast. This was my little girl, threatening to cut me out of her life over money, not asking for help, demanding it, like a spoiled child throwing a tantrum in a toy store. Before I could answer, I heard my wife Linda's voice in the background. "Give me the phone," she said. Linda took the phone from Emma, and her voice was ice cold. "Robert, you need to help her right now. She's our daughter, and she's desperate. What kind of father are you?" I felt like I was in a bad dream. "Linda, she just threatened to disown me if I don't. So what?" Linda shouted, "Maybe you deserve to be disowned if you're going to be selfish when your own child needs help." That word, selfish, it burned in my chest. I'd worked overtime for years to pay for Emma's college. I'd bought her first car, paid for her wedding, helped with her honeymoon. How was I selfish? "Linda, this isn't right," I said quietly. "She's trying to control me with threats." "She's scared," Linda snapped back. "And if you let her suffer because of your pride, then you'll lose both of us. I'm on her side in this." My own wife was taking sides against me. In that moment, I realized something terrible. My family didn't love me. They loved my wallet. I sat there holding the phone, listened to both of them talking about me like I wasn't even there. They were planning how to make me feel guilty enough to pay. They were treating me like a machine that spits out money when you press the right buttons. Something broke inside me. Not my heart. That had been breaking for years. Something deeper. My willingness to be used. "You know what?" I said, interrupting their planning session. "You're right. I am selfish. And I'm done apologizing for it." The silence on the other end was deafening. "What did you say?" Linda asked, her voice shaking with disbelief. I said, "I'm done. Emma, you're an adult. Figure out yourself." "Linda, if you want to choose sides, you've made your choice clear." I hung up the phone before they could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from relief. For the first time in years, I had said NO to my family, and it felt like taking off a heavy backpack I've been carrying for miles. Within 5 minutes, my phone was buzzing with angry texts. Emma sent me a long message, calling me the worst father in the world. Linda sent even worse messages, saying I was heartless and cruel. But I didn't read them all. I turned off my phone and sat in my kitchen, drinking coffee in perfect silence. For the first time in years, no one was asking me for anything. No one was demanding anything. No one was making me feel guilty for existing. It was beautiful. I spent that whole day thinking about how I got here. When did being a good father turn into being a personal ATM? When did my wife stop being my partner and start being Emma's lawyer? I remember when Emma was little. She used to make me cards that said, "World's Best Dad," with crayon drawings. When did those turn into bills and payment requests? I realized that somewhere along the way, I stopped being a person to them. I became a function, the guy who pays for things and fixes problems. That evening, Linda came home from work furious. She slammed the door so hard the whole house shook. "How could you?" she screamed at me. Emma's cried her eyes out. "She might lose her apartment because of your selfishness." I looked at my wife, this woman I've been married to for 30 years, and I didn't recognize her. When had she become so mean? When had she stopped caring about me? "Linda," I said calmly, "Emma threatened to disown me. That's not how family treats each other." "You're being dramatic," Linda said, rolling her eyes. She was just upset. "You should have helped her instead of being stubborn." I shook my head. "No, she was being manipulative, and you helped her do it." Linda's face turned red with anger. "I can't believe you're choosing money over your own daughter." "I'm not choosing money over Emma," I said. "I'm choosing respect over being used." That night, Linda slept in the guest room. She said she couldn't stand to look at me. Honestly, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, Linda tried a different approach. She made my favorite breakfast and sat down with a sad face. "Robert, please reconsider. Emma really needs this money. She's not trying to hurt you." I took a bite of my eggs and looked at her. "Linda, if Emma needed food, I'd buy groceries. If she needed medicine, I'd pay for it. But she wanted to pay for an apartment she can't afford so she doesn't have to get a better job or move somewhere cheaper. That's not helping, that's enabling." Linda got angry again. "You're being impossible." "Fine, if you won't help Emma, then I will." She grabbed her purse and checkbook. "I'm going to the bank right now to get the money for her rent." I watched her march toward the door. "With what money, Linda?" "Your part-time job at the library." She stopped and turned around. "With our money from our savings account." That's when I knew this had gone too far. "No," I said firmly. "Absolutely not. That's our retirement money." Linda's face went white with rage. "You can't stop me. My name is on that account too." She was right, but I had another card to play. "Linda, if you take money from our retirement to enable Emma's bad decisions, I will file for divorce tomorrow morning." The words came out of my mouth before I could stop them, but once they were out there, I realized I meant them. Linda stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "You wouldn't dare," she whispered. "Try me," I said. That afternoon, I called my brother Mike. He's always been the smart one in the family. Retired early, invested wisely, never let anyone push him around. "Mike," I said, "I need advice. Emma and Linda are trying to force me to pay Emma's rent, and they're threatening to cut me off if I don't." Mike was quiet for a moment. "Robert," he said finally, "I've been waiting years for you to see what everyone else can see. They've been using you as their personal piggy bank since Emma turned 18. "What do you mean?" I asked, even though I already knew. "Remember Emma's wedding? You paid for everything while her husband's family paid for nothing. Remember when she bought that expensive car she couldn't afford? You made the payments for 6 months. Remember when she quit her job to find herself? You paid her bills for 3 months. Mike was right about all of it. They don't respect you, Robert. They see you as weak because you always give in." His words hurt because they were true. That night, Linda tried one more time. She came into the living room where I was watching TV and sat down with tears in her eyes. "Robert, please. Emma is our only child. If we lose her over this, we'll regret it forever." For a moment, my heart softened. This was the woman I'd loved for 30 years, asking me to help our daughter. Then I remembered Emma's words. "You're not my father anymore." I remembered Linda's words. "You'll lose both of us." Threats, not requests. "Linda," I said gently, "I love Emma with all my heart. But love doesn't mean letting someone abuse you." Emma didn't ask for help. She demanded it. She didn't say please. She said pay up or else. That's not how people who love you treat you. Linda wiped her eyes. "So what happens now? We just let our daughter hate us." "Emma doesn't hate us," I said. "She's angry because her threat didn't work. But if her love is conditional on me paying her bills, then it was never real love anyway." The next few days were tense. Linda barely spoke to me. Emma sent more angry texts, calling me names I won't repeat. But something amazing started happening. Without the constant stress of Emma's financial problems, I started sleeping better. I started enjoying my hobbies again. I started feeling like a person instead of just a paycheck. I even started going out with my old friends from work, something I hadn't done in years because I was always too busy solving Emma's problems. A week later, my phone rang. It was Emma, but her voice was different, softer. "Dad, can we talk?" My heart jumped. Maybe she'd realized that threatening me was wrong. Maybe she was ready to apologize. "Of course, sweetheart," I said. "I'm listening." "I found a way to pay my rent," she said. "I got a second job waitressing at night. It's hard work, but I'm managing." I felt so proud of her. "Emma, that's wonderful. I'm proud of you for—" "Don't," she interrupted. "I'm not calling for your approval." My heart sank. "Then why are you calling?" "Because I want you to know that I hate having to work 2 jobs. I hate being tired all the time. I hate that my own father won't help me when I'm struggling. You could make my life so much easier, but you choose not to. That makes you a bad father." I felt like she'd punch me in the stomach. Even when she was solving her own problems, she was still trying to make me feel guilty about it. "Emma," I said sadly, "I hope someday you understand that helping you grow up isn't the same as being mean to you." She hung up on me. I sat there holding the phone, feeling empty inside. But then I thought about what she'd actually told me. She'd found a second job. She was paying her own rent. She was handling her problems like an adult. My refusal to enable her had forced her to grow up, even though she hated me for it. Maybe that was exactly what she needed. Maybe being a good father sometimes means being the bad guy in your child's story. Linda overheard the phone call and came into the kitchen looking hopeful. "Is Emma okay? Did she figure out the rent?" "Yes," I said. "She got a second job." Linda's face lit up. "Oh, thank goodness. See? Everything worked out. Now you can help her quit that second job and no," I said firmly. "Absolutely not. Emma is learning to take care of herself. I'm not going to ruin that by making her dependent on me again." Linda stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "I don't understand you anymore," Linda said sadly. "You used to be kind. You used to care about Emma's happiness." "I do care about her happiness," I replied. "But I care about her character more. And character isn't built by having Daddy pay for everything when life gets hard." Linda shook her head. "You've changed, Robert. You become cold." Maybe she was right. Maybe I had changed. But for the first time in years, I liked the person I was becoming. Someone who said a no when people tried to use him. Over the next few weeks, I heard through my brother Mike that Emma was actually doing well at her jobs. She'd made friends with her co-workers, learned new skills, and even started saving money for the first time in her adult life. But she still refused to talk to me. Linda kept trying to convince me to reach out to Emma and apologize. "Just call her and say you're sorry," Linda would say. "Tell her you'll help with her bills again, and everything can go back to normal." But I didn't want things to go back to normal. Normal meant being treated like a wallet with legs. Normal meant getting angry phone calls every month demanding money. Normal meant never being appreciated, only used. I started seeing a counselor to help me understand why I'd let this go on for so long. Dr. Martinez was a kind woman who helped me realize that I've been confusing love with enabling for years. "Robert," she said during one session, "you taught Emma that love means getting what you want from people. But I was trying to be a good father." I protested. "A good father teaches his children to be independent," Dr. Martinez replied. "You were being a good ATM machine, not a good father." Her words stung, but they were true. I'd been so afraid of Emma being disappointed or angry that I'd never let her learn to handle disappointment or solve her own problems. I'd handicapped her by always rescuing her. No wonder she couldn't handle basic adult responsibilities. Meanwhile, things at home were getting worse. Linda had started giving me the silent treatment, cooking only for herself and spending most evenings at her sister's house. She was punishing me for not giving in to Emma's demands. One night, I made dinner for both of us and sat down at the table. "Linda, we need to talk," I said. She looked at me with icy white eyes. "What's there to talk about? You've made your choice. You care more about being right than about your family." "That's not true," I said. "I care about Emma's future. I care about teaching her that she can't threaten people to get what she wants." Linda laughed bitterly. "You're not teaching her anything except that her father doesn't love her enough to help when she's struggling." I put down my fork and looked at my wife, really looked at her. "Linda, when did Emma's happiness become more important to you than mine? When did her comfort become more important than our marriage?" Linda's face softened for just a moment, then hardened again. "She's our daughter," Linda said, like that explained everything. "And I'm your husband." I replied, "Doesn't that count for anything?" We stared at each other across the dinner table, and I realized we were strangers now. This woman who used to be my best friend had chosen sides, and it wasn't mine. I said quietly, "we need to consider whether this marriage is working anymore." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "You divorce me over this?" "I divorce you because you've made it clear that I don't matter to you anymore." That night, Linda packed a bag and went to stay with her sister. She said she needed time to think. I was alone in the house for the first time in 30 years, and you know what? It felt peaceful. No one was giving me the silent treatment. No one was making me feel guilty for existing. No one was pressuring me to give money to someone who'd threatened to disown me. I made myself a simple dinner, watched whatever I wanted on TV, and went to bed early. It was the best evening I'd had in months. A few days later, my phone rang. It was an unknown number, but I answered anyway. "Dad." It was Emma calling from a friend's phone. "Emma," I said, my heart jumping. "How are you doing?" She paused. "I'm okay. Working a lot, but okay." There was something different in her voice. Less anger, maybe, or maybe just exhaustion. "Dad." I called because I wanted to ask you something. "Do you hate me?" The question broke my heart. "Emma, sweetheart, I could never hate you. You're my daughter. I love you more than life itself." "Then why won't you help me?" she asked, and I could hear tears in her voice. "Because helping you and enabling you are two different things," I said gently. "When you were little and you fell off your bike, I helped you up and bandaged your knee. But I didn't carry you everywhere so you'd never fall again. If I had, you never would have learned to walk." Emma was quiet for a long moment. "I don't understand," she said. "You have the money. Why is it such a big deal to help me pay my bills?" "Emma," I said carefully, "remember when you were 16 and you wanted me to do your homework for you because it was hard?" "Yeah," she said, "and you said no and made me do it myself." "Right, and you were mad at me then too. But what happened?" Emma sighed. "I figured it out and got a good grade." "Exactly. And now you're figuring out how to pay your own bills and support yourself. I'm proud of you for that. But it's hard, Dad. I'm tired all the time." "I know, sweetheart. Being an adult, is hard. But you're doing it." For the first time in months, Emma didn't hang up angry. We talked for another few minutes about her jobs, her apartment, even her favorite TV show. It wasn't the same as before. There was still tension between us, but it felt like maybe we could find our way back to each other. After we hung up, I sat in my quiet house, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not hope that things would go back to the way they were, but hope that they could become something better. A week later, Linda came home. She looked tired and older somehow. "I've been thinking," she said, sitting down across from me, "about what you said, about choosing sides." I waited for her to continue. "My sister thinks you're being cruel to Emma, but her husband, he thinks you're right. He said their oldest son used calling for money every month until they cut him off. Now he's doing great, and he thanks them for forcing him to grow up." I nodded. "What do you think, Linda?" Linda was quiet for a long time. "I think," she said slowly, "I've been so worried about Emma being happy that I forgot to worry about Emma being strong. And I forgot to worry about US." She reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm sorry, Robert. I'm sorry I took her side against you. I'm sorry I made you feel like you don't matter. You do matter. Our marriage matters." I squeezed her hand. "Thank you," I said. "That means everything to me." We decided to go to counseling together to rebuild our marriage. Dr. Martinez helped us understand how we both failed Emma in different ways. Me by enabling her, Linda by protecting her from consequences. We learned that real love sometimes means disappointing people in the short term to help them in the long term. It wasn't easy work. There were tears and arguments and moments when we both wanted to give up. But slowly, carefully, we started building something new and better. 3 months later, Emma called me on a Sunday afternoon. "Dad, are you busy?" "Never too busy for you, sweetheart. I wanted to tell you something. I got promoted at the coffee shop. I'm going to be an assistant manager." My heart swelled with pride. "Emma, that's wonderful. Tell me everything." As she described her new responsibilities and her excitement about the raise, I heard something in her voice I hadn't heard in years. Confidence. She was proud of herself for earning something instead of being given it. "Dad," Emma said after telling me about her promotion. "Yeah, sweetheart. I think I understand now why you said no. I was mad for a long time, but working these 2 jobs taught me something. I'm stronger than I thought I was. I can handle hard things. I never knew that before because I never had to try. I had to wipe tears from my eyes. I always knew you were strong, Emma. I just wanted you to know it too. I'm sorry I said such mean things to you," she whispered. "I love you, Dad. I love you too, Emma. More than you'll ever know." After we hung up, I sat in my chair feeling lighter than I had in years. My daughter was growing up. My marriage was healing. And for the first time in decades, I felt like a father instead of just a paycheck. Linda came into the room and saw me smiling. "Good phone call," she asked. "The best," I said, and I meant it. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do for someone you love is refuse to make their life easy. 6 months later, Emma invited Linda and me to dinner at her apartment. She decorated it with furniture she bought herself and cooked a meal she learned to make from YouTube. We sat around her little table eating spaghetti and talking about her plans to go back to school for business management. "I'm going to pay for it myself," she said proudly. "With my promotion and my savings, I can afford the night classes." I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and saw a confident, capable woman instead of the entitled girl who used to demand money. "Emma," I said, "I am so proud of the person you become." She smiled and reached across the table to squeeze my hand. "Thank you for not giving me the money, Dad. I know that sounds crazy, but thank you for making me figure out myself. I'm happier now than I was when I was calling you every month asking for help." Linda nodded. "Your father was right, sweetheart. We both were enabling you instead of helping you grow." It wasn't easy to admit we'd made mistakes, but it felt good to be honest. As we drove home that night, Linda took my hand. "You saved our family," she said. "I thought I was destroying it when I said no to Emma." I replied, "But sometimes you have to break something before you can fix it properly." We'd all learned valuable lessons. Emma learned she was capable of taking care of herself. Linda learned that protecting someone from consequences isn't love, it's harm. And I learned that saying no to people you love sometimes is the most loving thing you can do. A year later, Emma called to tell us she'd been accepted into a business management program at the community college. She'd saved enough money to pay for her first semester without any help from us. I'm nervous, she admitted, but I'm also excited. I never thought I was smart enough for college, but working these jobs showed me I can learn anything if I try hard enough. That phone call made me realize something important. By refusing to pay her rent that day, I hadn't just saved money, I had saved my daughter's future. Looking back now, I realized that saying no was the hardest and best thing I ever did as a father. Emma's threat to disown me was her way of testing whether I love her enough to let her fail, struggle, and grow. When I called her bluff, I showed her that real love isn't about making life easy. It's about making someone strong. Today, Emma is thriving in ways she never did when I was paying her bills. She is confident, independent, and genuinely happy. And our relationship is better than it's ever been. The funny thing is, Emma rarely asks for help anymore because she's learned to handle things herself. But when she does ask, like when her car broke down last month, it's with respect, not demands. She says please and thank you. She offers to pay me back. She treats me like a person she loves instead of a machine that spits out money. That's the difference between enabling and empowering. Enabling creates dependency. Empowering creates strength. If you're dealing with a family member who's trying to manipulate you with threats, I want you to remember something. People who truly love you don't threaten to cut you off for setting boundaries. They might be disappointed, they might be angry, but they don't use your love for them as a weapon against you. Love isn't supposed to hurt. Love isn't supposed to come with conditions. And love definitely isn't supposed to bankrupt you emotionally or financially. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is disappoint someone in the short term to help them in the long term. Sometimes being a good parent means being the bad guy in your child's story until they're old enough to understand that you were actually the hero all along. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Today, I have a daughter who respects me, a wife who supports me, and a family built on love instead of manipulation. That's what happens when you choose courage over comfort. Emma graduated from her business program last month with honors. At her graduation party, she gave a speech thanking all the people who helped her succeed. She mentioned her professors, her classmates, her co-workers, but the person she thanked most was me. My dad taught me the most important lesson of my life, she said, looking right at me. He taught me that I'm stronger than I think I am. He believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. That's what real love looks like. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Linda squeezed my hand and whispered, "You were right all along." But I knew it wasn't about being right. It was about doing what was hard because it was what was best. Sometimes love looks like saying yes. Sometimes love looks like saying no. The trick is knowing the difference and having the courage to follow through. Emma's threat to disown me was the best thing that ever happened to our relationship because it forced us both to grow up. Have you ever had to choose between being liked and doing what's right? Has someone in your family ever tried to manipulate you with threats or guilt? Share your story in the comments below. You might help someone else find the courage to stand up for themselves. And if you want more stories about family, boundaries, and finding your strength, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Granny Tales. Your support helps us keep sharing these important stories. Remember, real love doesn't come with conditions. See you in the next story.